Hey folks, I just thought I'd make a quick video talking about some of the new exciting lighter weight adventure bikes that are coming out. I'm pretty stoked about it actually. Um, I'm kind of a more lightweight adventure guy. I do a lot of riding alone in remote areas, single track kind of sketchy stuff because I like to go adventure and explore. Um, so heavier bikes are a little bit more difficult and dangerous to do that with. As you can see, I've got a relatively heavy bike. This is my Tenere 700. I actually really love this bike. Picking it up is a little bit difficult. If I decide to stay with this bike, I'm going to be getting the Safari Rally tanks, which actually bring the fuel weight really low and allow you to have a lot of capacity if you're doing a really long adventure ride without any fuel stops in between. Um, this bike probably weighs 430 pounds wet right now. It's got a bunch of mods, exhaust. It's got the ABS system removed, so the ABS pump and all that is gone. Various other things. So it's relatively lightweight. It's not too bad, but it is still top heavy, and it can be difficult to lift up in certain situations where like you can't get good footing, that kind of thing. So I'm still looking for something a little lighter. I do love the sound of it, and I do love twin engines. They're a lot of fun. But that being said, there's some exciting things coming out. You got the BMW GS or 450 GS, which would probably be pretty fun. It kind of looks like a fun little day trip bike. It's probably still going to weigh more than 400 pounds. It could weigh quite a bit. It's hard to say, so we'll find out. But definitely sounds exciting, looks exciting. And then, you've got things that have come out like the CF Moto 450 and the Himalayan 450. Those are okay. They're too heavy for me, like 430 pounds. No, you might as well just do this. And then I've got like almost, 1.5 to 2 times the power and way more torque, and it sounds awesome. I'd much rather have, and I'd rather have Japanese reliability as well, not take too much of a chance. I know Himalayans have a good reputation, but the Chinese bikes I'm not 100% sold on yet, but they may do well. We'll see. But the things I'm most excited about from EICMA this year are the DRZ4S and the KTM 390 Adventure R and the Enduro R as well. Looks pretty awesome. But so the KTM, it's pretty much almost exactly what I've been looking for. It's probably going to have decent fuel capacity. There's no official numbers out yet, but they're saying it's going to be a bit bigger than the Duke, so maybe 17 liters, which would theoretically get you, I don't know, maybe 400, 450 kilometers on a tank, which is pretty good. It's got okay power, 50 horsepower. It's going to be a bit of a revvy engine like the last one. They've managed to get the peak torque down about 1,000 RPM to, I think it's at like 8,500 RPM now or something, whereas it used to be like 9,500 or 9,000. So that's good. So it'll be kind of a good little bike. It's probably going to weigh a lot. I think they're saying it's going to be 407 pounds wet, something like that. That's not too bad, but it's going to feel a little sluggish with, a high revving engine and 50 horsepower is my guess. I could be wrong. It's hard to say until you ride them, but just the looks of it, the seat looks good. Nice wide seat for your butt, but also narrow, so when you're standing up, it's good. It's got good suspension. It's got good ground clearance. It's got a high seat, but anything with good ground clearance is usually going to have a pretty high seat. Yeah, that could be the unicorn for me. I'm a little leery of the KTM stuff, especially, even before this camshaft issue that the 890s had. They've always had reliability problems. I've had friends with ones that have basically exploded on them and left them stranded and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'm totally sold on the KTM, but the previous 390 Adventure has a really good reputation for reliability. So we'll see. I think, ironically, something I'm very excited about is the DRZ4S. I'm a little bit annoyed at what they did with the rider modes and stuff. Like, it does not need that in my opinion, but I guess they're just trying to cater to a bike that people can grow into instead of starting with a smaller displacement. I'm not really sure, but it's a tall bike, so new riders aren't really going to like that anyway. This is another thing I don't like. I think they could have decreased the ground clearance a little bit to decrease that seat height. I think that would have been good. My KLX 300, I can't remember what the ground clearance is on that, maybe 9 inches or something, and I never had any problems with ground clearance doing like off-roading and stuff like that. And that's why I have a skid plate for when that does happen. So, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me as an experienced rider, but for newer riders, that is a problem. And then Traction control and ABS I'm not a fan of, but I understand that in a lot of countries, they need that. It's part of the law there, so they can't sell the bike unless they do that. So I'm okay with that. I'm gonna have to find a way to disable it because I'm when there's not a button you can just press to turn it off, when you have to go through menus and stuff like that. Oh my god, that's so annoying. Or you have to like stop to turn it off, or do all these things, like, or if you stall the bike and then you turn it off and on again to reset usually the fall switch or whatever that goes on. You have to turn the key off and on again a lot of the time on these newer bikes. It's probably just going to reset the ABS and traction control, and then you're going to have to turn it off again. So if you're like on a steep hill and you've fallen over on your bike, you got to hold the bike up and you're trying to turn off all these stupid electronics. That stuff annoys me. So if I do get one, I'm going to be bypassing a lot of that, probably. And there'll probably be dongles and things like that you can get for that. So that'll be okay. The power is a little bit less than before and the weight's more, so it's not going to be as good of a power to weight ratio, but it's also got a catalytic converter on it now, and if you replace the whole exhaust system, it's probably going to drop quite a bit of weight off the bike. The electronics obviously are going to add a bit. And then it's 5-speed again. If they get the ratios right, that'll be fine, the gear ratios, but if they don't, it's going to be definitely a miss. And so let's hope they've been listening to what people have been saying for 20 years about these bikes, where they need a lower first gear and a higher fifth gear. So let's hope they did that. If that's the case, because it's a worldwide selling bike, there's going to be a huge aftermarket for this bike, and I'm excited about that. That's going to be really interesting. Problem I had with my KLX 300 is because it was only really a North American bike, because it didn't meet emission standards and it didn't have ABS, all that stuff. There's a very small aftermarket. There's only one aftermarket fuel tank you could get for it, and it wasn't very big. It's 2.7 gallons, which isn't very much. Even though it's a really good bike, I got disappointed. I ended up selling it. It's a good bike. It needs a little bit more power. This is why I'm excited about the 400 cc's of the DRZ4S. I've been in talks actually with Safari Tanks. I just emailed them immediately as soon as I saw it get released. I was like, hey, you guys, you need to make a set of rally tanks for this bike, just like the ones you're doing for the Tenere 700, where the tanks come all the way down to basically the bottom of the bike, like on a rally bike. And then they've got on their Tenere 700 one, it comes with a bash plate that comes up and protects the tanks. With that Tenere 700 one, it can hold 45 liters of fuel. It's like almost 1,000 kilometers of range. Obviously you don't need that much for a DRZ, but if you could get like 500 plus kilometers of range and have that fuel weight really low, that's going to make the bike handle amazing on and off-road. It's going to feel way lighter than it is, and you could build that bike into the perfect adventure bike for me, or at least my perfect adventure bike, which would probably weigh like 360 to 370 pounds wet, but it would feel like a 330 pound bike because of that low weight. Between those tanks and you put a rally fairing on there, like a Adventure Rally X fairing or something like that, that would be the unicorn adventure bike. I'm pretty excited about that. The Safari guys, I emailed them, asked them for that. They were interested in the idea. Their development team actually just emailed me back and wanted some more information about kind of the type of riding I do, what I'd like to see for range and all that. So I kind of emailed them back in detail. I'm hoping they stay in contact with me and just even with whether or not they decide on to go forward with that. I'd be really, really excited, like giddy, if they did that, and I could build my perfect adventure bike. But yeah, I thought I'd just go over my thoughts on kind of some of the new and exciting lighter weight adventure bikes that are coming out. A lot of them I'd like to see lighter, but when you have a fairing and big fuel capacity and all of the creature comforts, it ends up adding a lot of weight, so it's very difficult to keep lightweight. So we'll see what happens, but I would say for sure the DRZ4S and the KTM 390 Adventure R are really interesting, and I'm looking forward to see kind of how all that develops in the near future. Thanks for watching, and ride safe out there.